The third episode of The Last of Us begins with a poignant scene of sorrow. Tommy is beside his brother's lifeless body, reflecting on the flawed man he once knew, and he asks him to greet Sarah, Joel's deceased daughter, now reunited with him in the afterlife. This moment hits hard, especially following Joel's violent death and the realization that the world of The Last of Us has irrevocably changed. The pacing in this episode is intriguing, almost mirroring the show's uncertainty about its direction, much like our own feelings. But before we get into this one, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button, drop a like and comment on the video, and if you're able, please sign up for channel memberships for exclusive content, which really helps us out. Anyway, let's get back to episode 3. So, my concerns after watching the second episode of season 2 were validated this week, as this episode focuses on Ellie with Bella Ramsey carrying several scenes solo. Episode 3 needed to address the fallout from Joel's demise and the town's assault, yet the narrative felt slightly off. Similar to the season 2 premiere, this episode leans heavily on establishing the setting and expanding the universe, which only heightens my curiosity about the story's conclusion diverging from the game. However, the pacing felt misaligned as the show's broadened its scope. In comparison to the third episode of season 1, this installment doesn't significantly stand out from the series. While the impact of Long Time may not weigh as heavily as Joel's presence in episode 3, it still lingers. The third episode of season 1 marked a pivotal moment for newcomers to The Last of Us, solidifying its status as more than just another video game adaptation. Yet, knowing they have our attention, episode 3 seems to drag its feet, which is unexpected given the season's brevity. Episode 3 has also validated my concerns about the direction of The Last of Us after Joel's demise. Ramsey spends a significant portion of the episode in solitude, conveying the turmoil of a character engulfed in sorrow and teetering on the brink of a potentially grave error. While their efforts are commendable, Ramsey faces considerable challenges throughout. In contrast, Isabella Merced shines as Dina, bringing a refreshing lightness to the narrative, demonstrating that Ramsey's performance improves significantly with a scene partner. Yet, the evolution of Ellie is not solely a reflection of Ramsey's portrayal. The character has undergone changes over time. We catch fleeting glimpses of the Ellie we became familiar with last season, witty, playful, and fiercely determined to be taken seriously even amidst chaos. Although circumstances have shifted, I wish we had witnessed more of this side of her prior to Joel's passing, as her focus will become singular for the rest of the season. The conclusion of episode 2 hinted at her inevitable journey to Seattle, leaving me puzzled as to why The Last of Us suggested there was any uncertainty about it. As season 3 delves into the latter half of The Last of Us Part 2, the pacing feels paradoxically both rushed and sluggish. Despite minimal developments, it seems as though Ellie and Dina have instantaneously arrived in Seattle with little time devoted to exploring the WLF or the newly introduced cult-like faction which appears abruptly only to face annihilation. While The Last of Us is setting the stage for her upcoming episodes, this does not necessitate a complete halt in the narrative. Focusing solely on emotional growth is not the primary intent of the show. This episode is filled with sadness and emotional depth, primarily due to the inherently distressing moments it portrays rather than Ramsey's portrayal of these scenes. Ellie is clearly grappling with her grief, yet Ramsey keeps it so deeply buried that I found it hard to recall the times when Joel and Ellie truly connected. This might actually align with the message that The Last of Us aims to convey. They shared a significant bond, but Ellie remains unaware of all the facets of Joel's character. Discovering the complete truth about him could alter her path significantly. While I'm still unclear about Catherine O'Hara's character Gale and her role, she certainly made some impactful observations in episode 3. It's premature to conclude whether Ellie can be redeemed, but I can concur that Joel didn't mold her into who she is. They have always been on parallel journeys. Nevertheless, her interactions with Dina hint at a possible glimmer of hope. If Ellie finds something worth fighting for beyond her dwindling connection to Joel, it might just bring her back from the brink. Alternatively, if the WLF militia proves to be as menacing as it appears, conflict could be imminent. This scenario opens up new possibilities for adventures beyond Jackson's borders. Episode 3 suggests that the best approach to enjoying The Last of Us this season is to abandon the expectation that it will mirror Season 1. With Joel's absence, Season 2 cannot replicate the unique charm of the first season, and I don't wish for it to. Although The Last of Us Season 2 is still carving out its identity, it doesn't imply that it isn't heading towards something worthwhile.